Good evening and welcome to our Year 10 Transition Evening 2024. Thank you firstly for taking the time to join us for this. It's very much appreciated. We hope that it's going to be both succinct but also really useful for you, particularly as we start this really pivotal 2 years of your child's education at Roding Valley. You're going to hear from several people over the course of this evening, again, based on our experience and our conversations with parents in recent years. What we've tried to do is put together a bit of an FAQ, a bit more information about what's going to be happening this year that we think will be really useful for you to know in advance of them starting their GCSE and BTEC courses this year. You'll notice on one of the slides there at the top left-hand side, it talks about an email address there. Please do email us if you've got any questions. It's parentforum@rodingvalley.net. We will get back to you every single query. If we notice any themes, we will write to you, or perhaps we'll address it in the bulletin that way. It barely seems a year ago since I introduced myself to you again on the computer due to RAC, and time flies. Your children have now been through that option process in the past year, and they have decided what GCSEs they are studying. And this year, as you will know, is a very, very important year for all students in Year 10 as they move into those GCSEs and BTEC courses and qualifications. We know it's really important, and that's why we really do stick to our values as a school of aspiration, respect and endeavour. We are now oversubscribed in the school, which is a really privileged position to be in, but we've not moved away from those values. In fact, we go back to them more than ever, and a piece of work that we'll be doing with our students over the course of the year to really try and embed those. And we know that these things work two ways. It's between students and teachers, teachers and students, but also teachers and parents and the other way around as well. And we know how important it is to work closely with our parents, with our local community, to get the very best outcomes for all of our students. We talk regularly at Roding about having a 7-year pathway, and that's because we have really high aspirations for our students, and we don't want our students to leave us at the end of year 11. We'd love them to stay into our really fantastic sixth form and achieve those pathways that they want to post 18. We had exceptional results once again this year in our sixth form. We're really, really proud of our year 13 students. I'm sure there will be siblings in year 10 as well. A number of them went off to study at Oxbridge. We had a number also go off and successfully apply for degree apprenticeships, which is really fantastic. I feel like we're leading the way in the local area with degree apprenticeships. We also had a number of students go off into employment, and I think the most pleasing thing for us is that our students, the vast majority of them this year, have got into what they wanted to do. And we're not here to choose for them. We're here to give them information, advice and guidance, and then support them in those decisions. And we really had a delightful results day, both at year 11, but also year 13 this year. So that 7-year pathway, we are now well and truly in it with those year 10s. And the next 2 years are 2 really important years in that pathway. I do want to take a moment just to reiterate attendance. I looked at the GCSE and the A-level data this year. There really is a very, very clear positive correlation between attendance and outcomes at GCSEs and A-levels. And whereas 90%, for example, might be a good mark in an exam, really when it comes to attendance, it isn't. We look for a minimum of 95, 96% attendance, because we know anything below that has a serious impact on grades at GCSE and A-level. So please do bear that in mind. If your child's not feeling well and you think, actually, I can give them a lemsip or a cup of tea and get them into school, it really is important that they come in and they miss as little education as possible. Of course, if they are unwell, please do follow our procedures, which are on our website, just to make sure that you phone in. But where possible, if they can come into school, we will look after them. But more importantly, they'll continue to receive that education that we know has a real impact on the outcomes at GCSEs and A-levels as well. Okay, you're now going to hear from a series of other people. Again, I hope it's really useful. You're going to hear from heads of year, from deputy head teachers and assistant head teachers about all things year 10 related. Thank you once again for giving up your time to listen to us, and I hope it's a really valuable information session. Thank you.
Right, hello everyone. My name's Sam Smith, Deputy Head. I'm in charge of culture and ethos of the school. And I think the first thing I was going to start by saying is that we are very, very proud of the Roding community. We very much feel as if we are a community school in a number of ways. First of all, I think we've got a really strong community at the school, talking about the learners and the adults in the building. But secondly, we really feel as if we sit at the heart of the Loughton community and the local community, and that's also extremely important to us as a school. And community is very important because a strong community will mean that pupils will be more successful. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And of course, communities need care. And that's where really my job is important, because communities need strong rules so that people know what they can and cannot do. And what we think is really important is that there are strong and dependable routines for things, so that there are no surprises, so that when children walk into lessons, they know what to expect. When they're lining up for assembly, they absolutely know what to expect. And these routines help us not really need the rules themselves, because everybody knows exactly what's expected of them. But of course, in all communities, things do occasionally go wrong. And when things go wrong in this community, we aim to fix them. So when people fall out from time to time, we aim to fix those relationships. When things go wrong between teachers and pupils, when there's a misunderstanding, then we aim to fix those relationships. And it's relationships at this school which we feel are so important. And at the centre of all of that is the pupil. And around that sits an extraordinary number of people who are there to support that pupil, from the form tutor, who is the first port of call for any issues that the pupil has, and of course from any issues that families want to raise. That's the form tutor should always be the first port of call. Then there is the head of year. There is a large extended leadership team and senior leadership team in the school who are here to support pupils. Obviously, their teachers are here to support, and those relationships are absolutely fundamental to the success of pupils. We have a pupil support team who work with pupils to help them to always make the right choices and to help restore things when they've gone wrong. And obviously, the learning support department will be working with a number of pupils to help them to access the curriculum and be as successful as they can. But even more than that, there is the safeguarding team who are there to make sure that children feel okay, that where we've got concerns, they are addressed. The attendance team works to ensure that pupils are here as much as they possibly can. We have pupil voice, which enables pupils to talk about what they think about the school and suggest improvements. There are all of the support staff working in the school, from reception team to teaching assistants that are here. At sixth form mentors, which is a program that starts shortly, where pupils will be supported by sixth form students. And that's a weekly mentoring system. And there are prefects further up the school that are there to support pupils when they need it. So there's an enormous amount of support, but these are all relationships, and all of these relationships need care and need restoring. They need to be established in the first place, to be maintained as we go along, and to be restored if and when things go wrong. As for the rules, because it's right to talk about what the rules are. The rules are important. Strong communities need strong rules. Behaviour policies can get very complicated, and there can seem like there are really a lot of rules. Most of that is detail. There really are only 3 rules in this community, and they are very straightforward. But if pupils, and I've been saying this to pupils all week, if a pupil were to follow these 3 rules, they would really not be going very far wrong. Clearly, they're here to learn. Each individual pupil is responsible for their own learning. And obviously, if they're behaving in a way that stops them from learning, they're going to be breaking some rules. Similarly, if pupil behaviour stops other people from learning, that's going to be a problem. So, we are here to allow to learn as much as possible, but also to allow other people and to help other people to learn as much as possible. And finally, to show kindness and respect for yourself and the school. And those are the 3 rules, and everything else follows from those 3 rules. But if you only keep those 3 rules in your head, you won't go far wrong. Clearly, Everything else comes from that. So, why do we expect pupils to be in school 100% of the time? So they can learn as much as possible. Similarly with punctuality. Uniform is about respect for yourself and for the school. It's also to help us kind of maintain a sense of equality across the school, which we wouldn't have if pupils were in their own clothes. Lesson behaviour, clearly, good lesson behaviour enables good learning to happen. Playground behaviour will affect learning in class. It's also about kindness and respect, and so on and so forth. And all of these things really come from those three main rules. To talk about attendance briefly, attendance percentages are strange things, because in any other activity, if you got 96% on a test, for example, you would rightly feel as if you had done extremely well. 96% attendance, though, isn't satisfactory. So a pupil with 99% attendance across a school year will still have had 2 days off. And in those 2 days, they will have missed 12 lessons, they will have missed 12 hours of learning, and they may have missed really crucial things, particularly in those exam years where anything that you miss is going to make a difference. 95% attendance, which, again, arguably you might think is good, that will be nearly 10 days off in a school year. And really crucially, a pupil with 90% attendance, below which they will be considered persistently absent. If you have 90% attendance, it means that when you take into consideration weekends and holidays, plus the time you've taken off, you will, in a school year, spend more time at home than you will at school. And obviously, that is going to affect your ability to learn. And there is a very clear correlation between absence and underachievement and lack of progress. It's similar for punctuality. If a child was 2 minutes late for each lesson in an academic year, they will have missed 39 lessons, 39 full lessons, 39 hours of learning, which is over a week of school. So minutes add up, and these things really are very, very important. In addition, 2 minutes late into the lesson, you're going to be disturbing the learning for other people as you walk in. So we do expect 100% punctuality to school and to all lessons. Pupils have 5 minutes transition time between lessons, but if pupils are marked late, there will be a 20-minute late detention after school. And punctuality to school is very, very important. Pupils arriving late through the late gate will receive a 20-minute detention at lunchtime every day. As I said, good communities need strong rules and strong routines. That's everything that I wanted to talk about this afternoon. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Hello there, it's Miss Larkin speaking. I am one of the deputy head teachers in charge of curriculum progress, teaching and learning, and I'll be speaking to you about the 3 headings that are on the screen. So first things first, what an exciting part of your child's 7-year journey. They've just officially entered the first year of their GCSE experience. Although, as you know, we did start teaching GCSE content at the end of last academic year to give them that flying start that they very much need. And just so you all know, and just so our students know, that students can be assessed on any part of the GCSE curriculum. So it's so important that year 10 is not a wasted year. You cannot cram in year 11. You cannot do all that last minute and expect to be successful. Everything that you take on board now, you must soak up every single second of it during your year 10 experience. There'll also be very much normal exam arrangements for you at the end of year 11 with your public exams. There's no additional support material. Lots of students and parents think there are from the sort of consequence of COVID. There isn't. We are back to normal exam arrangements. So therefore, year 10, you should really have your full focus on developing the skill set that you need to be successful in each and individual subject area. They'll all have their own exam technique, all have their own style of writing. You've really got to practice that in year 10. And you obviously must take in all of that content, all that key vocabulary, because you're very much going to need it at the end of year 11. Now, whilst I'm talking about progress, let's look at the timeline of key dates. They're not actually in chronological order. They're in order of importance, really. So I'm just going to whiz through them now. First of all, the key date to have in your diary is Thursday, the 8th of May. That is our parents' evening. We're going to talk to you directly, face-to-face in school about your child's progress. Please make sure they come along. We love to speak to them as well. After all, we are talking about them. We're talking about their future, so it's really important they attend. Assessment round 1 will be the week beginning the 3rd of December. They will be done in class. They are still serious assessments whereby our teachers will assess them on a number of GCSE exam questions to help us ascertain where they are at. Assessment round 2 will be the week beginning the 22nd of April. And again, really important that we make sure our students focus on those, because you will receive a second report this academic year based on those assessments. And the big one is our pre-public examination cycle. We like to call them PPEs at Roding Valley, and they are the week beginning the 16th of June. Now, they are very much more formal. They are sat in exam arrangements in the sports hall or the main hall. They'll be full GCSE papers. Lots of our year 10s tend to find this quite a hard experience, but it is also quite a bit of a realistic experience, really. And lots of our students are quite confronted by how much work they might need to do. So let's start the work now. Let's make sure we get ready for that window. And I also wanted to just put on the radar here that our sixth form open evening is Thursday, the 5th of December. If you would like to get in there early doors, yes, this is aimed at our current year 11s, but we'd love as many of our year 10s to also come along, be a bit nosy, have a look at our curriculum and see what our sixth form's all about. I know it seems like a way off, but it really, really will come around really quickly. As I said, if I just quickly talk about the PPEs in the summer term, like I said previously, it is a formal exam. You do it in exam conditions and they will be based on previous GCSE papers. So it's so important that you take that very, very seriously. And one thing I'd like to end on, I know it sounds like a very far away thing, but you are very much, you know, sort of midway through your 7-year journey. What an exciting time. Let's look ahead. Do you want to stay with us after you leave in year 11? Do you want to come to our outstanding sixth form? If you do, you need to start looking at your point score. The point score is essentially added up by looking at your best 8 qualifications, adding those totals together. If you get 32 points, you'd be successful. You'd be able to get into our sixth form and study our vocational BTEC pathway. If you got 42, sorry, there's a typo on the screen, you'd be able to study our A-level pathway. So please have a look at what grades you've been predicted. Have a look at what grades you are getting consistently. Would you be able to get into our sixth form? Hopefully you would. We do obviously have individual requirements per subject. You can find all those on our sixth form page in our prospectus. I would also like to say that our curriculum offer is expanding for 2025. So it means it will affect your cohort as well. Really good news. We are adding lots more subjects to our offer. What an exciting time. My big message is do not waste year 10. You don't want to be in that position in year 11 when you look back and think, I wish I'd have worked a bit harder because my year 11 experience would have been much easier. So best of luck and enjoy the rest of your talk year 10. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Tony Taylor. I'm the Senko here at Roding Valley High School, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you today. So I'm going to begin with giving you a very brief overview of SEND at Roding Valley High School. So all young people with a special educational need and disability are on our SEND register. That contains information about the young people, and then it also contains bespoke individualised teaching strategies, or what we call our sacrosanct strategies, which are there to enable staff to be able to adapt lessons to ensure that the young people in front of them and in their classes are able to access the knowledge and the skills that are being taught in that lesson. Now, we are very aware here at Roding Valley High School that high quality teaching is the key to progress. If you look at all the research around SEN, you look at all the research from Ofsted, IOE, anybody that has completed any, you'll find that high quality teaching is the key to young people making progress. Being in the classrooms with those subject specialists is where they're going to make the most progress. And that's why the sacrosanct strategies are so important and individualised to ensure that our staff are aware of the needs of our students and they're adapting teaching to enable all young people to access the curriculum. But we are also aware that there are times where there may be further bespoke intervention needed around academic, around social skills, around a wide range of things. And this is what's called the graduated approach. We keep a track of this to our assess, plan, do, review grid. And the system is that we will complete some kind of assessment. That could be a standardized test, that could be looking at attendance data, it could be looking at achievement data, it could be looking at a wide range of things, but we will assess where any need may be. We'll then plan an intervention, have conversations with yourselves as parents, because that is really, really important. We'll then complete the intervention, set outcomes, say what we want it to do and how we want to measure the impact of that, and then we'll review it. If we get to the end and it's had the impact that we want, brilliant, we'll end there. If it's not, we'll look again. What we don't do is continue intervention, because if it's not had the impact that we want, then it's not going to have the impact in the future. We need to shake it up and try something a little bit different. Now, it's very important that we work with you guys, and there's a chance to meet with a member of the learning support team every term through our SEND parental consultation meetings. These are held through our EduLink platform and our virtual. The reason being, it just allows us to have a higher number and higher level of meetings during the day that we can actually offer to parents, because we want to meet with as many of you as we can. For the autumn term, the dates are Year 10, 21st of October, and Year 11, 18th of October. And further details will be coming out to you very soon around that. In Key Stage 4, I tend to get a lot of questions about examinations. There are a lot of examinations throughout Year 10 and 11. You have PPEs, then you have the big exams at the end of Year 11. And parents often want to discuss examinations and the way that their child is going to access these examinations. So if you have any questions about that, please contact me. I deal with examinations and the way that young people are able to access them in the school. And I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you around what the barriers are and what kind of mitigations we are able to put in place, should we be able to do so based on the guidelines from the Joint Council for Qualifications. So if you do have any questions or concerns, please contact me and we can go from there. Now, I often get asked, how can we help at home? Now, there are some key bits, one of them being reading. Your child needs to continue to read anything and everything that they can get their hands on. Reading is a key facet of our policy here at Roding Valley High School, and it continues right the way through Key Stage 4 and actually into Key Stage 5. And one of the piece of advice I would give is to have very clear set routines for homework, very clear set routines for revision, and incentivize it. You know, if you do X amount of pieces of homework today, X amount of pieces of homework this week, if you do all your homework this week, then there will be an incentive at the end of it. You can choose the Friday night takeaway. You can have an extra 10 minutes on the Xbox on Saturday night. You can choose where we go on Sunday. It doesn't need to break the bank, but something that's very worthwhile to your child to say, this is why you're doing it and this is the reward you'll get from it. And make it clear that it's an expectation. Make it part of the evening routine. 6 o'clock every night, for example, is homework and revision time. Because as we move through Key Stage 4, it's absolutely vital that young people keep on top of their workload, especially if they're doing a vocational qualification and there's a portfolio element or a coursework element involved in the course that your young person's doing. Leaving it till the end is going to have a massively detrimental effect on their progress, and we don't want that. So making that expectation clear that this is part of what's going to happen every night, part of the actual routine of life, gets them into those habits from the very, very beginning. And using those revision techniques that the students will be aware of, that we teach throughout, is really, really important. I'll go back to what I said earlier. Working with parents and carers is really important to us here at Roding Valley High School. So please do contact us if you have any questions, if you have any concerns. Please drop us an email. And I'm looking forward to working with you all over the next couple of years. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.
Hello there, parents and students. I'm Mr. Mia, Assistant Head Teacher for Teaching and Learning. This is obviously a very exciting time and year for our Year 10s. They're beginning the start of their GCSE journey. Lots of them have chosen subjects in Year 9, and they know now that it's really serious. From now to Year 11, we're just going to be talking about GCSEs, getting them ready for their exam, teaching them everything they need to know, getting them to practice exam skills and techniques, building up the skill set and also the ability to sit exams. It's important that students get organized, they organize themselves, and that they make use of all the tools available to them through school, but also ones that they can use at home. So one of those things are the revision resources. On our school website, under revision, it's possible to find all the revision resources. And these are some of the strategies that we have shared with students over their time at Roding Valley High School, but we'll continue to look at this year in Year 10, particularly around the mock exams or the Year 10 exam later on. And so we have things like Busan Mind Maps, cue cards, quizzes, memory-based quizzes such as Seneca, Flip and Fold, knowledge organizers, and revision clocks. All of these are tried and tested, proven strategies that work, rather than passive note-taking, for instance, that isn't really very effective. And we know these strategies work, and we encourage our students to use them, and we will use them throughout the year. However, our students will probably prefer one or the other, and that's fine. They can mix and match them for different subjects as they get towards revision. The GCSE revision microsite is also accessible from the same area. It's a link that we share with our students as well. It's something that is designed primarily for GCSE exams. Now, going back to what I said earlier, this is the start of GCSE. So although our Year 10s won't have studied the entire course, they will be at certain stages able to access certain parts of the GCSE microsite, certain exam questions, or certain checklists, or certain web pages that are hyperlinked in or signposted on the microsite. But they'll probably need a bit of guidance about what part of this is relevant to them, and this is something that our teachers will be going through with them. Especially as we get closer to the Year 10 exam, I will be going through the revision microsite and talking to students about how to make best use of them alongside some of the tried and tested revision strategies. We'll have a workshop that's fun and engaging and allows them to actually put those tools that we've talked about in practice for some of their subjects, and then they can do the rest at home. So what can we do right now, early on in Year 10, to support our students and our sons and daughters at home? Well, there are two things really. The first thing is to use the personalized learning checklists. These are knowledge checklists and skills checklists that students receive for every subject, and often also for every topic or unit within each subject. And it would list all the knowledge and all the skills a student will need to demonstrate to be successful in that course. And what students can do at the end of each topic or at the end of every lesson is go back to the PLC and rag themselves to determine whether they are green, amber, or red. And hopefully more of it is green. Some of it might be amber, but if there are any ambers and reds, it tells the student very quickly, that's the area that I will need to go back on. I might need to go back to my teacher because I've not understood it. Maybe I've missed a lesson somewhere and I need to go over it. Maybe I just need to do some more revision because I keep forgetting some of that detail. So it's really useful to narrow down revision and make sure you focus on what really makes the biggest difference. Additionally, we really encourage students to look after their notes, and especially their bookwork and some of the feedback they receive from their teachers. And one of the reasons this is so important, aside from the fact that examiners need to be able to read their writing, to be able to award them marks, the other really important reason is that by having an organized book and workbook, it means students have something that they can come back to actually revise out of when it's organized and when it's clean and tidy. We would also encourage students to look for close the gap sheets. These are yellow sheets which they receive from their teachers, and they are always done after assessments. What these contain are gaps or identified areas which the teacher has recognized to be gaps in their understanding or knowledge or skills. And then the teacher would provide some material to then improve on that area and close those gaps. So what this does, whenever you flick through the book and you see that you close the gap sheets, we know very quickly those are the areas that a student hasn't done so well at in the past. So it makes sense during revision to focus on those yellow sheets to make sure those gaps are resolved, those gaps are secure before moving on to doing generic general revision. It makes sense to spend time on those areas that are the weakest areas. And again, for that, it's possible to go on the revision microsite and also speak to the teacher for what we can do to plug those gaps or close those gaps. The next thing is Google Classroom. Google Classroom is really important because we set all of our home learning or homework on Google Classroom. So all of our teachers would set it on Google Classroom. And the key message I would have for students to be more organized with this is to go in Google Classroom and to go to the calendar view. because on the calendar view, it's possible to see the whole week and all the assignments and their due dates. And then it's easy to then organize the time and to think about, you know, on Monday, I might do 2 hours after school here. On Wednesday, I might do these 2 subjects. And on Sunday, I might do these 2 subjects, rather than trying to get it all done on a Sunday, which isn't very effective, not very helpful for the student themselves. We also produce lesson resources and upload those. So our teachers will post lesson resources as materials on Google Classroom. I always encourage my students to read ahead, and lots of them do. They read ahead, they read the presentation, or they just flick through it, they go through it, they see the pictures and diagrams and keywords, and they might jot a few bits down before I actually teach it, because then they have pre-learned the content. And in the lesson, it's much easier for them, and they can really focus their time and energy on the more challenging, difficult aspects of the lesson. There is also another feature on Google Classroom called To Do. Clicking on this just gives you a chronological list of all the assignments coming up and their deadlines, just to think about in terms of priority order, which ones to do. Finally, it's really important that students submit their work through Google Classroom, regardless of what form the homework or home learning was in. They do need to then submit it through Google Classroom, and that might be uploading it, or it might be taking a picture and uploading it, so that the teachers can track this and they can provide feedback as well. I'm confident this is going to be a really successful start for Year 10s, and some of the behavior they pick up from the learner behaviors in terms of organization, Google Classroom, PLCs, and revision strategies, they will continue and really make use of into Year 11 as well. Thank you very much for your ongoing support.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Information Evening presentation. I am Mr. Ryan, the head of Year 10, and I'm here to talk through sort of the pastoral side of how we will sort of look after and nurture the students until they reach GCSEs, so the end of Year 11. It is really significant that we focus on attendance for the next sort of year and a half, primarily because attendance is one of the key factors to success. If students miss a certain amount of time at school, it's almost inevitable that they won't achieve the levels that they want. Obviously, we want everyone to do the best that they can. We would like as many students as possible to get into sixth form and move on to sort of university. And to do that, they have to actually be in school for as much as possible. Our minimum expectation is 96%. And even at that, students will have missed at least 8 full days of education. We really do need and must insist that everyone is in school when they should be and on time. And if there are any issues surrounding this, please don't hesitate to contact Miss Parsley in our attendance office. Punctuality. It's really good at the moment. I mean, I have always enjoyed opening the gate at 8:15. Students are able to come in, they can get some food, but the actual school day starts at 8:20. Students are expected to go straight to period 1. On a Monday, that is an extended period 1, where we deliver our whole school PD. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we actually have a whole curriculum surrounding the students, which is really important. I mean, I say this a lot, but it's very important this year, as we really do need the children there to learn about the options that are available for them in the future. It's also where their form tutor will be able to talk them through any of the information that they need for that day, be it room changes, meetings, auditions, football fixtures, anything. So it really is essential that they are here in school on time and fully equipped to learn. Our uniform. We are very proud of the Roding Valley uniform, and it is essential that we maintain those high standards. So we are expecting all students to be in correct uniform when they are in school. If there are any issues, again, please contact your form tutor as the first person or the first point of contact, and they will provide your son or daughter with a uniform card. Or otherwise, we are quite happy to help out with uniform. We do have lots of spare uniform here in the school. As I talked about earlier, our Period 1 programme is really important. We deliver some really essential information. So as I said, we have the whole school personal development programme where children actually get to learn about being sort of a good citizen, a good person, and about British values and everything else that it is required to be sort of a human being in today's day and age. On Tuesdays is when we have Bedrock, Wednesdays, careers, Thursdays are assembly, and Friday we also do some extra PD along with some revision sessions. Our careers program is really important, and again, it really will benefit the children this from now on, because we are sort of focusing at the next steps, how to apply for university, how to apply for college, how to apply for sixth form, references, CVs, etc. So it's really important that children are in for Period 1 on time. The timings of the school day, I mean, I know you know this, apart from Monday, the timings are exactly the same. So Monday is still slightly different because we have the extended personal development. I'd like to introduce you to our academic or form tutor team. And here we have all of their contacts. I mean, if you want, you can pause or you can take a screenshot of this, but you can see the emails for all of the form tutors. And ideally, it would be really good if you were able to contact them if you have any concerns about your son or daughter in school as a first sort of port of call. So when we talk about contact and who should I contact when I'm in school, it really is significant and important that you do actually contact the subject tutor. So if, let's say, you have an issue or your son or daughter has an issue in history, you would contact that subject teacher first. If it's 2 or more subjects that you might want to talk to someone about, maybe go to the form tutor. And if there are any concerns, Miss Parsley, careers, Miss Mason, that should always be sort of the first person that you actually contact. So either the subject teacher or the academic or the form tutor. And then generally speaking, if it is something that really requires my attention, it will be fed up to me. Safeguarding. Safeguarding is really important at Roding Valley, and obviously we do believe that it could happen here. Anything could happen. I'd like to remind you of the email address. I am not okay at rodingvalley.net should anyone feel any kind of concerns there. We also have our PD curriculum where we do actually discuss a lot of these things. And then finally, the zone or the hub is always a safe space for students to go to if they need it. In relation to year 10, we have to be prepared. This is going to be a difficult year, and the children have started really well. They seem to be incredibly enthusiastic and very prepared for this year. But they have to keep that level of momentum up, and that can be quite difficult. What I would recommend is that they actually have some realistic expectations and goals, and that they realize that everything should be done in sort of like chunks. Ultimately, we would like everyone to leave here at the end of year 11 to have done incredibly well. So maybe they have to think about the fact that by the end of this term, they will have succeeded and done well in a particular assessment, and then they can move forward and everything is sort of chunked into small sort of bites. We would also recommend some timetabled revision. Actually plan what you're going to revise and when. Be prepared to spend some sort of time with your friends and family. You've got to make sure that you've actually got those sort of things scheduled in to your calendar, because otherwise people just lose track of what's important. And obviously friends and family are really important. It's vital that students eat well, and it's also incredibly important that they sleep. Scientists have proven that you need roughly 9.5 hours of sleep as a teenager. So I would really recommend that people are sleeping as much as they can. And finally, that being able to actually talk to someone is vital. If you are concerned about anything, make sure that you talk to your parents, talk to a member of staff, talk to me if you really want to, that there are people there that you can speak to. Now I'm going to hand over to Miss Mason, the Head of Careers.